guys. Today is the day. Today is the day we make the purchase finalized for our metal roof. I cannot believe how much work it's gotten to get to this point. The first step of everything, was trying to find somebody to be able to, help me out with ordering all the different pieces and what goes along with the roofing. It's not just the flat metal or the ribbed metal or whatever metal you use. There's a lot of trim pieces. There's a lot of transitional pieces that you need, and valleys, and there's just all sorts of things that I've never done any real roofing or anything else like that. I've read a lot about it. I've researched a lot on it. I've seen pieces here and there. I've heard people refer to some of the pieces one way and then refer to a different way, and then it makes it very, what do I need? How do I need to go for it? And I do have to say, the metal company that we went with and that we are going with helped me out so much with it. It's not even funny. It's very hard to try to, find that kind of help from a company sometimes. And you wouldn't think that it's hard. You would think that it's pretty much the same in that aspect all the time. Like you would always have it, but you don't, unfortunately. I mean, they were very quick to respond and to get back with me and everything else like that, to where it was like I have probably 30 back and forth with this guy, and he answered all my questions. He was able to help me out with every little aspect and every little detail. Call him on the phone and he was able to quickly, answer anything or any questions or help me out in every which way possible that he was able to do, and yeah, it was a really good experience. I'm really happy about that, because this is probably one of the bigger purchases I think that we've had to do for the build so far. So it's exciting, that we're able to get this thing rolling and get this on there, because it's a big process, and I'm excited for it, because this metal that we're going to be getting is going to end up being able to last for a very, very long time. I shouldn't have to go up there and replace the neoprene washers. I shouldn't have to go up there and mess with anything after it's said and done. So I'm really happy with that, and I'm happy that Melanie was able to look over the color choices and see exactly what color she wanted, and it made it just so easy. I mean, this process was a lot easier than I was anticipating. And honestly, I was worried, because I was like, man, I'm gonna have to sit here and go through and make sure that I have all those trim pieces, and I'm gonna have to put together this order. I had a feeling in the back of my head, I was like, man, and I'm gonna forget something, and I'm gonna miss something. And they're like, and they had all of the pieces laid out, and they were like, this is how much you're gonna need. Here's the excess of what it is. This is, and it should work out perfectly with everything. And it makes me super, super happy that it's looking amazing. Everything looks like it's going to go perfectly. I should have a little extra, and it should be a pretty smooth process of installing it. Everything that I've researched on it and looked into and everything, it is a very easy process. One of the bigger benefits of standing seam is to make it to where the expanding and the contracting of the metal in the colder climates or the hotter climates is a little bit more controlled, and it makes it to where you're not going to get as much oil canning. However, you can still get it. There's metal is one of those things where it's always going to expand and it's always going to contract. Every building material out there actually does. Wood does it all the time. Metal does it all the time. That's just the way that everything is. Even concrete sort of expands and contracts. There's a lot of that going on, and the thing is, with regular metal, you're pinning that metal down, and when it does expand or contract, what's happening is it will elongate the hole that you just screwed into and hold the face of the metal down. So even if the washer doesn't fail, the screw could elongate that hole over the expansion and contraction and create a weak point to where the washer is no longer covering that hole that you penetrated through the metal. So there's a lot of help with that aspect. I'm hoping I can get it to where it's not going to oil can any which way, shape, and form. When working with metal, there's always that possibility. So I'm gonna try to install it as best as I can. I know I'm gonna have fun with it. I feel like it's gonna be a lot easier, just like this whole process has been, than what I'm imagining. But the way I look at it, if I imagine the worst of like how hard it's gonna be, and if it isn't and it goes smoother, then hey, I'm a happy man. If it is going as bad or as much of a struggle as I think or imagine in my head, then it is what it is, and I'm not going to be upset because I already thought that was going to happen. So, I don't know. Positive thinking in somewhat of a negative way? I don't know. However you want to look at that, right? But I'm excited, you guys. I'm still like I said, though, this is one of those where it's like, no matter how you spin it, it still is a hurt to the wallet. It's a, man, all right, there's that. But at the same time, it's a happy hurt, because it's like, all right, there's that's done. What's next? But from what I was talking to him on the phone and everything, it should take 3 weeks, roughly, for them to get it to me. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. If it is going to be 3 weeks, if it's not going to be 3 weeks. But I'm going to find out and let you guys know exactly when it's going to be coming. When? Because I want to know when. And then I can, once I pay this, I can win them to death and be like, hey, when is it coming? When? When? But I'm going to catch you guys here on my way back. And we'll just keep on chit-chatting. We've got some stuff to do today. And there's going to be a lot of back and forth. But I wanted to get this done early in the morning. Get it over with. So that way I can continue working for the day and get everything rolling. So we'll catch you guys here in just a minute. All right, well, we are back at home, and I figured why not just bring you guys into the office space area and bring you guys along on the actual manuals and the type of metal and everything else on that, and sort of show you guys what I am seeing and what I'm going to have to really precisely get good, because there's a lot to it. It's not just a little here and there and whatnot. But let's check this out. This is the standing seam install guide for the Architectural Image 2 vertical seam, as well as Snap Block 150. So those are the different types of standing seam. And as I'm coming in here, it will actually go over all of the different aspects, actually how to safely handle the product, as well as pack it and unload it and everything for storage, and working with the metal, design information, product information, installation instructions, roof protection and repair, all that fun stuff. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And you can see it's going to be packaged in a nice manner. I did find out that we are going to be in perfect, we shouldn't have any issues unloading it whatsoever. So I'm pretty happy with that. It should be able to go pretty smoothly. Bringing you into this part. This is the thermal expansion and contraction for steel roofs and panels at 180 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, so in a fixed point of 10 feet, it'll expand roughly about 1/8 of an inch, or to that decimal of the inch. 20 feet, it's 5/16. 30 feet, 7/16. 40 feet, 9/16. Where's my inch? 70 foot. It'll actually expand and contract a full inch at 70 feet. That's quite a bit, not gonna lie. My roof is going to be a little bit longer than 30. We're gonna be right in this ballpark-ish. So about 1/2 inch in total of expansion and contraction. Okay, so, oh, there's also that. Oil canning. The perceived waviness in flat metal, commonly known as oil canning, is an inherent part of light gauge cold formed metal panels and trim. BBM will not accept oil canning as a cause of rejection. So oil canning can be minimized by means of heavier gauge, narrower panel widths, and panel striations, as well as substructure must be even plane with 1/4 of an inch in 20 feet from eave to ridge, reduce panel distortion. And as I'm going through, there's a lot of information and what you can and shouldn't do and everything else like that. Right here, it actually talks about the slopes and what you should go for slope wise. Image 2 and snap lock 150 panels are recommended for roof slopes 3 inches and 12 inches and greater. Okay, so every 12 inches, it's a 3-inch drop. Vertical seam panels are recommended for roof slopes of 1 inch and 12 and greater over solid decking, or 3 inch and 12 and greater over open framing. So that's where the open framing comes into solid deck framing for the actual seam panels. The image 2 and snap lock are recommended at 3 inch by 12 or 312 pitch and all that fun stuff. So I mean, there's some stuff in there in that aspect where it's like, okay, you know, somewhat of like where you need to. This is all the stuff I have to go through and why we did the pitches of the roof the way that we did them and all that fun stuff, and made sure that we stayed at a 312 for the back deck. And there's a lot of all this stuff that I've been back planning and pre-planning and everything else. And this is probably the same exact manual I downloaded and read, you know, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, whenever this stuff came out, and I read it again, and this is now my 3rd time reading all of this stuff. I'm a little OCD and I'm a little crazy when it comes down to the actual, like, what it's saying in the book. Now, it also comes into the ventilations and how I want to ventilate everything. And they're saying wrong, not ventilating it. Saying wrong to ventilate it that way. Ideally, the ventilating method itself is that way, from the actual soffits all the way up to the actual ridge. So there's that. Now this comes into the play of what's the best, what's not the best. And this is the one that we are going for and that we're getting. We're getting the normal standard striations in it. This is 16 inches. Okay, that's what they're saying, 1 inch tall. And that 1 inch tall will make it to where when we do solar up on the roof, I will actually be able to clamp it on the ribs of the metal and not have it actually penetrate my roof. So everything hides and is not penetrating. There's no way for a leak point, basically. As long as I keep all of my penetrations off of there and I make it to where there's no penetrations, everything should be good. This is the other style of standing seam, where basically it's a clip that you put on one end and then this slides over and flips, whereas this one, the one that we're going for, the image 2, is the one with the flange on this side you screw down, and then the next one clips right onto it. So it just keeps on going. 16-inch. This one you can do 12, 16, or 18, which this is nice. They do have it available in 24 gauge for this style. The other one is 26 gauge, as well as they do have it in 24. I opted for the 26. Everybody was probably like, oh, you probably went with the thicker one. I've got this test thing right here, and this one right here is 26 gauge. It is very thick. It's thick enough. I do not see this damaging. It is metal. Everything's going to be hiding underneath it. So I don't think that this is going to have any sort of issue. It's I've seen thinner metal than this, a lot thinner. So this is pretty thick. And I mean, I'm not able to get a good bend in it just by my hands and bending this small little piece like that. I'm not really able to get that to stay bent or anything one way or another. I probably, if I put two hands on it, I probably could bend it, but it's good enough. It already comes with a 45-year warranty on everything else like that, so I ain't too worried about it. This part right here goes into a bit of a different way than most metal roofs. So you got your panel leg of the actual metal. You've got your drip edge right here that comes up and comes over like that, right? And you can see that this is actually looped and bent over that drip edge. So how you end up doing is you cut it out like this, having this leg. It doesn't show the leg right here extended or whatnot, but it does show it right there. So as soon as that is, you'll get it prepped, bent over, basically ready for it to clamp onto the drip edge over there like that. And you'll just prep it basically by hemming the seam that way. And then you'll snip off the excess and go back and actually clamp that fully to the drip edge all the way around. R&R Builder, Kyle, if you ever watch this or whatever else, I doubt it, but he does a really, really good job on showing this whole process, and I'm definitely going to be watching 1,000 of his videos beforehand and after, and I'm probably going to send it to the whole crew because everybody's going to need to know what's what and how to do it. So he does a pretty easy way of showing it and what needs to happen and all that fun stuff. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff though. Like here's the accessory stuff. They've got tools and all the other stuff and whatnot, and fasteners and all the different types of trims and everything else. But I hope that helped your guys' minds a little bit. Maybe it made it worse, because sometimes that does it. When I look at this, I'm like, am I going to go down a rabbit hole once I start reading into this a little bit more and more and more? And then I'm like, what the heck? Why is it saying that and then going this way and that way? And then, yeah, but this is what I've been doing and on the rainy days and everything else, as well as trying to figure out exactly all my other stuff that we're going to be doing. We're taking a lot off of the to-do list. We're taking a lot off of what needs to be finalized and everything else. And it's coming along. It's coming along. It's this is the time of the season that I tend to reserve for a lot of this clerical work or office work or fine-tuning of anything and everything, because it's the season. I mean, it is raining cats and dogs outside. We get some good weather and we get some work into it, you know, and then it comes through and hits us hard, you know. So I'm glad that we have this ordered and we got this thing going to where it's going to basically be coming right at the time where it's like, okay, everything, go team go, weather should be going pretty good and we should be good, you know. But rain or shine, we've been doing a lot of other stuff, a lot of work on the back end, and we need to get them finalized. So we did find out what siding we want and everything as well, and that's a big one right there, because it's been a lot of, you know, up in the air of trying to figure out and trying to fine-tune exactly where and what we're going to be doing for the siding, in the sense of like what kind of wood? Are we going cedar? Are we going pine? Are we not going with those? Or is it flat? Is it round? Is it this big in the sense of like, you know, the round aspect or the flat aspect? Or is it this? Or what do they normally readily have? How much time are we looking at time-wise, back and forth? And we got that finalized. So I mean, that's a big one right there, as well as we do have a good idea of what color stain that she wants and everything. So we did a lot of messing around with stain last year. If you guys didn't catch any of that with the back deck and why we stained the backside itself, Melanie wanted to look at the stain color, and she wanted to see what color is it going to end up being if we went with like that color. And at first she was really digging it, and then now she's like, I don't know, it's too dark, you know, in certain spots. So I was like, okay, well then we're going to want to go with the lighter one, because that was it was a darker color, but there were some pieces that came out really light, and then others came out really dark. And she doesn't want the stain to be too dark. And I totally understand and everything else, because it's that natural look that she's going for, and she wants it to look like and everything else. Now it's you know, it's coming to a point of where things are going to be happening a lot and a lot quicker on a lot of things. So I'm really happy that I've been able to take this time and fine tune a lot of these things in the back burner of, like, you know, between me and Mel and building this house, of just trying to be like, okay, what are we doing exactly one way or the other? Because we sort of need to figure this out. We need to dial this in a little bit and be able to really progress, because we're at a really big point in this build, and things should be tidying up pretty quick. So I'm pretty excited about it. I did want to answer a couple of your guys' questions. There wasn't really a whole lot on the main go or anything else on Real Talk when we asked you guys. The one I did see, somebody was asking if we ended up treating the playhouse. The playhouse did not get treated, mainly because there's not really a whole lot in there. I mean, there is a little bit here and there, but for the most part, everything in there is to be expected, in the sense of having kids coming back and forth and whatnot, leaving the doors open every now and then and whatnot like that. There really isn't a whole lot of bugs or any issue over in that side. But I definitely am probably going to end up going and getting some of those pucks that you can get. You can get those at Walmart. You can get them at Lowe's. I've seen them at Walmart recently, actually, to where I was like, okay, I might go and get a couple of those and throw them out and just see what, you know, and see if there's any difference in the bait station wise or anything else like that. Maybe you know, the ones from Walmart aren't as good as the ones from Orkin, you know, or anywhere else. Only time will tell, in a sense, for that one, but it will be a good being able to see what's what and everything else like that. And I have a couple of ideas up my sleeve for that playhouse, so just gonna have to stay tuned to find out on that one. But another question was I might be butchering it. Someone was talking about the pieces of wood coming out to my mudroom. I'm not 100% sure if they're talking about the wood into the stoop or deck side of the mudroom. We are going to be siding the mudroom the same as the house, as well as the under ceiling part is going to be the same as all of the soffits all the way around the house. I will be contacting Best Buy Metals for the soffit material and the metal and whatnot, but I will be getting a lot of the ventilated soffits and make sure that everything is venting correctly and everything, especially since, you know, it basically just goes over it again in the metal aspect of, hey, make sure you're ventilizing your attic space area, because yeah, it's metal, you guys. It condensates and everything else. And not only that, brings me to another point where I am going to be putting down cedar breather, or you know, the mesh breather underneath the metal and everything else like that. And I talked to him on the phone and all that. He said, oh, that's good and all that. So everything's going good in all the aspects. We're basically waiting for the ETA exactly on when it's going to be here, so I can arrange the basically Uber to be here and be able to unload that trailer and everything. But I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited. I'm nervous because this is going to be a big one. We are going to be doing it, but I have total faith in us that we will be able to get this done and going. Everything that I'm seeing in here that I'm looking at, it seems very straightforward. It doesn't seem like it's too crazy. It does seem like there's a little bit more to it than just normal standard metal, but at the same time, not, if that makes any sense at all. I mean, you were still putting screws in. You're still having to put in all the trim pieces. And if you, depending on how you put in your trim piece, you would want to put in like the cleats and whatnot and the Z closures and everything else, depending on how it is. So yeah, I don't understand where all that one came from, but or I don't understand you know, some people not wanting to do this just because they think that it's a little bit more work. When I'm looking at it, it looks like it's going to be a fairly easy job and it's going to last the life of my roof. So I'm really happy about that. It should go by really quickly. There isn't really a whole lot to it. Really isn't. Trying to see if I can find anything else in here. Point out. But yeah, it's in all reality wise, I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to this next little bit of our build. We've got a lot of stuff to do and a lot of progress going in every single direction. So I just want this weather to go away and be able to get up there and do my other stuff that I need to do, because yeah, Mother Nature. I already had planned it though, you guys. I can't be upset about it. January, February is always raining, snowing, sleeting, icy. Not really conducive to be working outside, nor do any of my tools want to work in the cold. I want to work in the cold a little bit, but not if anything else doesn't. I mean, it just creates such a headache nightmare to where it's like, man, I'm better suited doing other things like finalizing this guy, finalizing all of my square footage and my order for everything else, and finalizing what I need to do on all these other aspects. So I'm keeping a lot back from you guys. I'm sorry. But not sorry at the same time. You guys are just gonna have to stay tuned to see what's going on. But this year is gonna be a big year, you guys. So I hope you guys are ready, and I hope you guys are excited, and I hope you guys are ready for it, because this year's been a long time coming. It's gonna be a good one. So until the next one, y'all, we will catch you on the next one. Later.